Chapter 4, Mishnah 1. The previous chapter concluded with the listing of the korbanos whose offspring and Temurah are not offered on the Mizbeach. This chapter continues with another korban whose offspring and Temurah cannot be offered, the chatas. However, in contrast to the korbanos listed in the previous chapter, whose offspring and Temurahs can eventually be slaughtered and eaten once they become blemished and are sold, the offspring and Temurah of a chatas can never be used. The offspring and Temurah of a chatas are part of a group of 5 chataos that are all subject to the same law. Therefore, in teaching the law for the offspring and Temurah of a chatas, the Mishnah also discusses the other 3 chataos that have the same law. The offspring of a chatas, the Temurah of a chatas, and a chatas whose owner died before it was offered are all left to die. Halacha l'Moshe Messinai teaches that since these chataos are unfit to be offered, they must be left to die. They cannot be left to graze, become blemished, and be sold, as is done with other unfit korbanos. The Mishnah now discusses 2 additional types of invalid chataos that are left to die. In contrast to the previous cases, these 2 chataos are not always left to die. Their law depends on certain complicated conditions. The 2 cases the Mishnah will now discuss both involve chatas offerings that got lost. In addition to getting lost, they also became disqualified, each in a different way. While they were lost, the owner consecrated another animal to use in place of the lost chatas. However, before he was able to offer it, the original chatas was found. Thus, he now has 2 chatas animals, his original chatas, which is now disqualified, and the animal he consecrated to replace it while the original chatas was lost. A chatas whose year has passed, i.e. it became more than a year old, and it got lost and was later found. And similarly, a chatas that got lost and was later found with a blemish. And while these chataos were lost, the owner designated another chatas to use instead. The law is as follows. If, after finding the lost chatas, the owner atoned for his sin with the second chatas, the original chatas is left to die. Since in both of these cases the original chatas has 2 defects, it was lost and it became either too old or blemished, and the owner atoned for his sin with a different chatas, the original chatas must be left to die. Since these chataos can never be used or sold but must be left to die, they are not subject to certain other laws of korbanos. Such a chatas does not make it to Temurah. That is, if the owner tried to substitute another animal for it, the second animal does not become a Temurah and has no holiness, and one may not benefit from it. But if he did benefit from it, he is not liable to a korban for me'ilah. Since a chatas that must be left to die can neither be offered itself nor even be sold for money that will be used to buy another korban, it has lost its korban holiness. Therefore, it cannot make Temurah and is not subject to the law of me'ilah. Nevertheless, it is forbidden to have benefit from it by rabbinic decree. The laws we just learned apply in a case where, after finding the chatas that was either blemished or past its year, the owner offered the other chatas. However, if he did not yet offer the other chatas, he has the following option. If the owner did not yet atone for his sin with the replacement chatas, and he wants to use the original chatas for his obligation, it should be left to graze until it develops a blemish, and it should then be sold, and the owner should bring another chatas with its money. Since the owner of the chatas did not yet atone for his sin, it is not one of the chataos that must be left to die. It is simply an invalid chatas, since it is more than a year old or it has a blemish. An invalid chatas, even one with 2 defects, is not left to die. Rather, it is left to graze and develop a blemish, and is then sold, and its money is used for a new chatas. Since these chataos can be sold once they are blemished and are not left to die, they are subject to the regular laws of korbanos, as the Mishnah now explains. This chatas makes it Temurah, that is, if the owner tries to substitute another animal for it, the substitute becomes sanctified as a Temurah, and it is subject to me'ilah, that is, it is biblically forbidden to have any personal benefit from it. And if someone does derive benefit from it, he must bring an asham to atone for the sin of me'ilah. Since this chatas can eventually be sold and have its money used for a different chatas, it still retains korban holiness. Therefore, the laws of Temurah and me'ilah apply to it.